Why hello everybody, Spencer here, also known as Lego Dude 11, and in today's video, today's a brand new review for you out on the channel, and today I am going to be discussing the brand new MCU film Eternals that came out last week, only in theaters. So I am going to be discussing the entire movie, spoilers in this video. So without further ado, let's discuss. Alrighty, so first and foremost, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of the movie, and then I'm going to tell you guys my thoughts. I took some notes here of the movie, so it's full spoilers ahead, but I'm going to give you a brief spoiler-free synopsis telling you guys what the movie's about, and I'm going to start talking about my notes here. So, the Eternals is a movie about this group of people, this family, but these eternal people, these eternal characters that have been around for generations in the Marvel universe, in the MCU, and they're created, how they were created, where they came from, and their creation over time, over the generations in the MCU, where they've been, their basically their existence for where they've been, and their plan, their mission for their time being alive. And basically the movie goes back and forth between where they were and what's happening in the present time, and then they have to save the day from what's that word called? Threat in space. So that's basically the gist of the movie in a nutshell, and I'm going to get to spoilers. So it's not spoiler territory yet. I want to talk about the soundtrack, the score, like I always do. So it's not only a spoiler, so if you want to wait, you can listen to this and then get out afterwards. So I'm going to talk about the score, who is composed by if pronouncing this correctly, Raman Djawadi, who is also the composer for Game of Thrones, which is kind of cool, neat in and of itself, because there are two actors in this movie from Game of Thrones, but the composer does Game of Thrones soundtrack. He also did the first Iron Man movie, which I didn't even realize going into this. I listened to the theme repetitively, and I was like, and I looked up the composer, and I was like, oh, first Iron Man, this same guy. Okay, cool. So I totally didn't realize it was the same composer, but that's neat. And really love the soundtrack. Going into this movie, I listened to the theme song endlessly, and I love the theme song that they got. I don't know, I wouldn't say it's better than Shang-Chi. I just like the Shang-Chi soundtrack a lot. But this one has fantastic theme. The soundtrack overall for each of the moments, symbolic, are just not heavy, but really well composed for each of the heartwarming moments, the action moments, just the clever way that he does it really well done. And I love the Game of Thrones theme as well. So I could hear the similarities between the two. So I don't know, I love the soundtrack a lot in that regard. So that's what I'll say about that. Also, I have to mention on that note. And with that said, we are going to be in full spoiler mode. So if you have not seen the movie yet, I try to do these reviews a week after to give people a chance to watch the movie. If you have not seen it yet, go watch the movie and then come back, because I'm going to talk spoilers. So if you want to be spoiled, you clicked on the video that was titled spoilers. So I don't know why you did, but anyway, I'm going to be talking about before I get into the movie. I want to mention that this movie was actually the lowest critic rated MCU film going into this. It started at 63% on Rotten Tomatoes, and then dropped 20% by the time the movie came out in theaters. And if you don't know what that means, critic rated, it means that there was a red carpet event that people got to attend, attend a special movie premiere, and a week, maybe a month before the movie came out, maybe a couple weeks or a month before the movie came out, and I think there were some critics that really liked it, and then it kept dwindling down just due to the fact that like people's opinions people didn't like it. And then the audience score when it came out was 86, and now it's dwindled 6% since the movie has come out. Like 4 days is now at 80%. So yeah, it's shocking to me what's happening. People are just hating on it, and so with that, like I'm shocked to see like what's happening on Rotten Tomatoes and everything with the score ranking system. But with that said, where do I stand on it? So I have some good thoughts and some issues, which are bad thoughts, which is what negative means. But I'm gonna start with the good thoughts. And what did I write down here? Oh, yeah. So the world building. I'm just gonna give you a brief thing here. Which I mentioned in my vlog. If you missed my initial reactions, be sure to check that out. I'll actually put a card up there to watch it, for you guys to watch it. The world building, the characters, and there were some other parts in it I found amazing, which I'll mention here. The world building is huge, expansive, incredible, which I do love. I did find really well done and interesting fashion in this movie. The characters are fleshed out. I say they're fleshed out. I mean, there's one which part of my issue in the moment, which we'll get to later. But the characters are not too terrible. Like I hear some people saying, "Oh, this was the worst character development I've ever seen," which is one factor which I will explain later. But the characters weren't half bad. I love them. Two characters in particular I want to mention in a bit. There were right now I'm going to say, like I think counted four, and this is a huge spoiler. So if you don't want to hear this, I'm going to mention 4 DC references in this movie. One, I thought someone said 4. I don't remember what the 4th was actually now off the top of my head. I remember a guy who was Alfred to Batman, or Alfred to Kingo, the like chauffeur guy. He's like, "I'm Alfred to you." That was the first one, and then the next one was Fastos said, "Batman, oh, you're like Batman or something." And then they had the kid, Fastos' son, said, "Oh, look, it's Superman. I saw on the TV shooting laser beams out of eyes." And he said, "I saw you wearing a cape." I don't wear a cape, which is what Icarus says. So those are the 3 DC references. I think if there was a 4th one, drop it down in the comment section below and let me know what it was. But I couldn't believe. I shouldn't say I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that there were that many. Going into it, I knew about the Superman one, but I don't know what this means. I've heard some things saying DC's canon, not DC's canon, DC's part of the MCU, but we probably won't ever see the characters in it. I don't know really what it means, to be quite honest with you. It's just probably funny stuff that they're trying to do, and it definitely was funny. Don't get me wrong. It definitely added some humor, added some like Easter eggs to other franchises, but Marvel has never done this before. The only thing they've done, pop culture references like Star Wars, like other sci-fi type things like Back to the Future references and stuff, but they've never referenced DC up until now, and it's really unique, especially in this movie, because Icarus has kind of been represented as a Superman type figure. So with that said, it kind of makes sense, but it's just kind of funny that 3 DC Easter eggs were mentioned, or DC references were mentioned. So that's what I wanted to mention on that. The action scenes were fantastic, as me and my friends were discussing it. They just love the action fight scenes in it. Really well done. From in the beginning to the end, final fight scene was great. There are lots of humor in it. I love the humor as well. You get, I think my favorite humor, if I can speak English correctly, my favorite character that had the most humor was Kumail Nanjiani, and he just delivered in every scene he was in. My favorite line that he said was when he was talking to Druig in, I think, the first scene he was in, maybe when they saw each other for the first time, reunited, and he's like, "I've also directed some stuff too," and he's like, "I don't do it for the views." I just cracked up, but I just applauded at that scene, and I was like, so true, so true. I relate to that, because when I make these videos, I try to be the best. I try to be entertaining to you guys. I try to be just deliver, be myself, and do what I want, and then you guys deliver. Or you guys are so appreciative, and I don't get the highest videos, but you guys still enjoy them and still watch them. And I was like, yeah, I totally related to Kingo when he said I don't do it for the views. I was like, well done, dude. Well done. So yeah, I thought that was really funny. And so moving on from that, humor side thing was great. One of my favorite characters of the Eternals was Makari. As I said, I love the humor of Kingo, but Makari, in particular, she was great. Her power, I guess that's not a power, but her two abilities. One, she was an amazing speedster. Because if you look at the Flash in the movies, or even the TV show, or Quicksilver, they typically, when either of them are running, they typically take it and slow it down, like in stop motion speed, or like just slow motion, and we'll be like, yeah, look at me, oh, look at that, oh. So it's slowing down, it's a slow effect. With Makari, it's like boom, 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 all over the place, and it was incredible effects. I loved it. I personally loved it when she was like running around the world trying to find the not the Unimind, but like the Time-It celestial thing, and then she ran back and was like, I found it. That was one of my favorite scenes of the movie, I think. Definitely one of my favorites, of her running around. I couldn't wait going into the movie. I couldn't wait to see all of their powers, and her in particular, they nailed it on her. But yeah, that was one of my favorite things about her. And also, she uses sign language, which, if you guys don't know, I actually took a 2 semesters of ASL, which is American Sign Language. And anytime I see it in TV shows or movies, I always like to see like how the people sign. And her signing with the other Eternals in the movie was really nice. She did well. Her presence, the way she like her facial features and everything was great. Even her relationship with Druig in the film was so cute. It was just really amazing to see their relationship bond in the movie, and I can't wait to see them again on screen later because they're still alive. Which is not a spoiler because we're just talking spoilers here. So yeah, I love the sign language. I love her character entirely. So moving on, I'm going to mention that right now, I don't care if you guys get spoiled. I mentioned it so much, but something I was discussing with my friends. My one friend who was not expecting. I don't know if he said he was expecting it, but one of the things he thought could be in the movie that wasn't was Galactus, and there was no Galactus in this movie. If you have not seen it, which you're still watching the video, there is no Galactus, but if you have seen the movie, Galactus is not in there. I wasn't expecting to see him. I didn't know if it could be a glimpse at, like when you see Arishem. I didn't know if maybe in the background, or like if it pans off to the side, we could have seen Galactus or not. Unfortunately, didn't happen. I didn't think it was going to, but yeah, I mean, in the trailer, I have a friend that didn't go to the movie with us, but he said when he showed me the trailer, or I guess he showed me the trailer and was like, is this celestial Galactus? I was like, no, it's not. It just has 6 eyes on him. And he was like, oh yeah, you're right. And then going in, my other friend was like, Galactus might be here, and I was like, I don't think so. So anyway, it did not appear. He did not appear in the movie, but I have a feeling, like I have a gut feeling, when the Fantastic Four movie comes out, directed by John Watts, I have a feeling that Galactus will show up in that movie, or like as like a end credit scene spoiler, like Easter egg type thing, just because he's such a huge major Fantastic Four villain. I don't know. I feel like he could show up someday, but in Eternals, I didn't think it was going to happen, so it didn't. So there you go. And before I get to the bad things here, I do want to mention the twist of Icarus. I did mention all the characters. Like, I liked Gilgamesh's powers, the fists. I did like Phastos' technology, Gemma Chan, Ajax twist. Well, hang on, I'll mention that in a minute. Angelina Jolie's character was okay. It wasn't my favorite. Half the time she seemed bored, which is maybe kind of a bad negative thing. I don't know if it was just she didn't care about acting. I don't know what happened. Like all of them, all of the actors and actresses seemed like, oh my gosh, I'm impressed to be in this movie. I'm so excited. Half the time she was like, hello, oh, I'm here, I'm an Eternal, what am I doing? Like half the time she didn't even know if she was acting or not. I didn't understand. But the rest of the people seemed great. I loved their acting or whatever. But that was weird. Angelina Jolie, Ajax, and what's his face, Icarus. The twist was really interesting. I did not expect that Icarus was going to be the villain, the main villain. I did not expect that he even killed Ajax off. I thought Ajax actually killed herself. Like I thought she didn't want to be an Eternal anymore. I thought she killed herself. But then when he actually turned evil, killed her, I was like, whoa, this is a major twist. And some people I think that's one of the things that some people don't like about it. But honestly, I really thought it was a nice turnaround direction they took in the movie. Like I think made the movie even better in the third act. But I guess we'll talk about the end credit scenes last here. So I'm gonna go into the bad section and then do the end credit scenes last, just for your guys' sake. It might be more exciting to talk about those last. So I'm gonna mention this first as the bad. So this isn't necessarily bad. It's just my own opinion. I have never in any MCU film, there has never been a huge innuendo scene. I'll say that. I'm not going to say the word. There's never been a big innuendo scene since the first Iron Man. Since Tony Stark and I don't know if it was, I don't think Pepper Potts, no, and that one chick were fooling around in the bed, and then they fall off the bed, and that's all you see. Then in this you see, believe it was Richard Madden, played by Icarus, was fooling around, I believe, with Cersei. I think I missed it because, to be honest with you, my eyes closed at one of the points in the movie. I think it was some slow scene was happening. I think it was like a few minutes before the innuendo scene, and then my eyes opened right as they were doing something, and I was like, okay, that's Icarus, and I believe that was Cersei. I believe that's what was happening. But yeah, it was 1 minute long. So it's really nothing too heavy-handed. It's just two people making love. But it's funny to me because I'm like, man, no MCU film has done this before. But to the Eternals extent, it's not surprising that they did that. But it's just okay, if you're taking your kids to see this, just to preempt for you, that's preemptive information. But I was like, didn't surprise me, but to some people it may be like, whoa, that's shocking in an MCU movie. So yeah, it's nothing bad per se, it's just my opinion, and again, it's not great, I think this was the best part of the movie. No, of course not. It's a little weird to see in a Marvel movie, but all in all, that's my point on it. Moving on, what I was saying earlier about the twist with Icarus and Ajax. So, well, yeah, I guess I already mentioned that. But there's a scene where that happens. Throughout the movie, the scenes are organized very weird. And I was discussing this with my one friend out of the movie. She said she loved the way the flashbacks, right? The flashbacks were meant to they weren't meant to symbolize anything. They were just okay, when you open in the movie, it shows where the Eternals have been 7,000 years ago, how they protected the humans from the Deviants. By the way, the Deviants CGI was incredible. We'll get to another weird CGI thing in a minute here. But the Deviants look great, and I love the development that they had in the movie. But the whole thing with the way they show in the beginning, and then they cut to the present, and they cut to the another flashback, which I totally followed along what was happening, but then they go back to the present, then to the past, and then they're in like the third act of the movie, which I totally love the third act of the movie. But it was like, really, like, if you were spending 2 hours with these characters I had never met before, nobody knew who they were. I'm going to compare this movie to Guardians of the Galaxy, because that movie were characters that we had never seen before, Guardians. And then we fell in love with them afterwards. It was a nice story, but it was nice and condensed. A good, told, fresh story. This one is fresh, but you're like jumping back and forth between, okay, why can't they, and they haven't seen each other for years, for centuries. So you're telling a story about characters that want to regroup, and they're giving us background information on who they are, character introductions, and then people die, like Gilgamesh, that might not have as much sympathy because you spent 20 minutes building up a character that we had no idea who he was. So to me, it's a little bit weird. It's like, why couldn't they just do the first scene in Babylonia, BC, or wherever they were? I think it was Babylonia. 7,000 years ago. Build it up to like 20, 30 minutes. Do the whole thing, or where they were protecting humans, right? And they built that up, but they had to like flip back like 5 times. It wasn't confusing to me, but it was just a weird format in my opinion. I would have done it differently. And again, it's not like you can't do this. How regrouping, like the regrouping was fine. Them coming back together and all that. It just was a weird format to flip back and forth. On a story standpoint, on a movie that they haven't been around for generations, it just felt very weird. Yeah, and you know, I love the end. The people say that the twist. I like the twist with Richard Madden Icarus, right? People say, "Oh, I wish the Eternals fought the Deviants. That was supposed to be the villain." Now I then agree with that, but then in hindsight, like, that wasn't the ultimate goal of the movie. The ultimate goal was to have their own story. They protected they're supposed to protect the humans from the deviants. That's what they did. Deviants were in it. They had some battles. All that's fun and great. Angelina Jolie had that fight with that one deviant that, you know, had that development and all that to it, which I loved. That wasn't half bad. But some people were criticizing that factor. I didn't think it was all that bad, but okay, whatever. Yeah, there's some bad things about it, but I love that they got some battles, and then the other Eternals fought Icarus. So there was that. There was the Makari was just laying the smackdown on Icarus. That was a bananas turnaround as well. Well, I shouldn't say turnaround, but she just was fighting him, punching him into the wall, and then they took him down. He actually flew into the sun at the end, which was almost kind of like Shakespeare and Les Mis when that one guy jumps off the cliff or whatever, but I thought that was really heartbreaking as well. And then Sprite becomes a human in the end because she doesn't want to be a kid anymore, like a 7,000-year-old Eternal in a kid body, so she becomes a human at the end. But that wasn't a bad part. That was just an explanation to you guys. But something else, I do want to make 2 things. I have one thing on the end credit scenes. Before I get to the end credit scenes, I do want to mention right off the bat here in the film, which I didn't mention. I mean, the very first thing you see at the start of the film is a black screen. It's pitch black, and I want to compare this movie to another MCU film. In particular, my shirt here, Black Panther, to the movie Black Panther. Because if you remember the beginning of Black Panther, how it starts is an introduction to like the Wakandan culture, the Wakanda country, and the vibranium and the everything, the Wakanda, the Black Panther person, right? And they used all of this great cinematography, like the sand or like the Black Panther purple color, whatever it is. It was beautiful. I love it. I still love it. I don't think it will get old ever. But the way they start out this movie is like a religious, and nothing wrong with religious text or anything in that regard. But it says, in the beginning, this is how the Eternals came about, the Celestials created them, blah, blah, blah. Then the Eternals have to protect humans from the Deviants, all this and fun stuff, the scrolling text. Almost like Star Wars, but it's not quite like that. It's just up and down. It's not like a scroll like Star Wars in space. So, again, I could follow along with it. I can read it. I'm perfectly capable of reading. I'm sure lots of people are. But one, what if people can't read? Two, it just felt very boring. Like they didn't have they spent. Chloe Zhao is the director. She's known for Nomadland, which won an Oscar. This is a masterpiece of a movie. I don't think it's the #1 movie in the world, which some people which they're claiming it to be. I think I like Shang-Chi a lot more. I like I don't think this is the best Marvel movie ever. It didn't make the top 10, and be honest with me. I think Shang-Chi is definitely in the top 10 for me, top 5. But really, like that's what they did. They couldn't do something different like they did with Black Panther, like that amazing opening scene. Like that's how you start out your masterpiece of this type of movie. Like they had everything else, but they couldn't start out differently. I don't know what they were thinking, but I don't know. I wish it was something different. But anyway, just to start out the movie like that, yeah, kind of bizarre. But anyway, moving on from that aspect, that's something bad, I think. But before I get to the end credit scenes again, I have one last bad thing. In Pip, people are criticizing on Pip, the troll at the end, which is part of the end credit scenes. Did he have bad CGI? If any of you have seen the movie, let me know down in the comment section below. Did you think Pip the troll had bad CGI? Because I didn't, and I even wrote that down. I put a question mark near it. Bad CGI for Pip the troll. Okay, yeah. Again, I might have I looked it up and looked up Pip the troll on a YouTube clip, paused on a frame, and I'm like, that looks like bad CGI. People are saying it looks like 2005 CGI, but I don't know. I really don't know until I see it again. Like, if the character comes back and it's not fixed or anything, I might be able to tell, but I don't know. I couldn't tell. But beyond that, what do I think of the end credit scenes? I think that Arrow's coming in. I didn't know who the character was, but I heard people saying Harry Styles is in this movie. And in the end credit scene, like I heard he said he makes a cameo of the god of innuendo. If you don't know what that means, look it up yourself. But he's there. He's how do I put this in like kid terms? God, this is so bad. But like he's the god of love. Okay, I'll put it that right there. He's the god of love. Harry Styles plays the god of love. Thanos' brother, which I didn't realize it was Thanos' brother, and I'm like, oh, there he is. And then he's an Eternal. He has to find the other Eternals that are now kidnapped in space, gone away, and and Pip the Troll is like his sidekick in the comics, so I'm excited to see the future of that. But yeah, I heard Harry Styles was in it like 2 weeks before the movie came out, and I'm like, really? You had to spoil that? Why? Well, because then I was like, okay, maybe it's not really that huge of a thing. Maybe he'll be a major character. And then he wasn't. He was in the end credit scene. I'm like, sure enough, that's what people are talking about. Like, really? Why do they claim that all over the news? I found that really weird. But, so yeah, that end credit scene was really cool. Really excited to see that. And then the final one was the mind blow, because I was sitting there with my friend, or my one friend kind of left the theater, was looking ran to the door to watch it. I was discussing with her. I was like, okay, if you don't know, if you're still here in spoiler territory, don't know why you would be, but what's his face? Dane Whitman, Kit Harington, Snow guy from Game of Thrones, which I've never seen, but I know people love it. Opens up the case that has the sword Excalibur in it, and has a long family heritage of it. I know the character. There's like three Black Knights in total in the comics, Marvel comics. One that's a villain. One, I think, two that are heroes. Dane Whitman, one of which is a hero. And he opens up the thing that the case that has Excalibur in it, and he's like, death, or like reads the text on it, says death to us all or something. I think I'm misquoting it. And then he touches it, something happens to him, and then he hears a voice in the background, which some people thought was the Watcher, but it's actually not. And the quote, or the line, the voice you hear in the background is actually Blade, the vampire hunter Blade. Or he might be a vampire himself, but with the guy with the sword. And it was confirmed by Chloe Zhao herself that it is in fact Blade. And I'm shocked. I'm excited that it's Blade. I didn't pick up on it personally, but I was like, wow. Blade, amazing. I can't not wait to see Dane Whitman, Black Knight, and Blade team up in another MCU project. But yeah, I'm excited for that, and I can't wait to tell everyone. I mean, if you didn't know that, leave a comment below and be like, yeah, Blade. Like man, I'm just excited as ever to see that him in full. Because now that means, because it was like rumored last year that okay, Blade will be another project in MCU, but now he actually did a voice. He didn't do a cameo, but he did a voice, so it means he's coming up soon. Sooner rather than later. But that's everything I wanted to talk about today about the Eternals movie. Man, that was such a fun movie to discuss. I had a lot of fun today reviewing that for you guys. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button if you did enjoy today's video. Be sure to leave a comment. If I did miss anything you were hoping I did talk about, drop a comment. I'd like to hear anything you have to say on it. Something I missed, something you just want to talk about that I mentioned. Also, stay tuned for more reviews coming later this month. Next month, I will have my Spider-Man No Way Home movie review, which is actually my next movie review. No, it's not. Ghostbusters is. Ghostbusters Afterlife is. And then that, which is my next Marvel movie review. But my next Marvel one will be something else. I think Hawkeye maybe after that. But anyway, don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy. Comment, subscribe, and share with your family and friends. Be part of the LEGO Dude 11 family if you did enjoy. And, as always, don't forget to stay tuned for more videos, more reviews, and don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me at Boba Fett Jedi Master. Instagram link is down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me. Alexa, stop. Brief interruption from her over there. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and follow me. And as always, don't forget to keep calm, play, let go. Bye, everyone.